When I signed the housing agreement for Orbital Station EOS 7, I thought the worst problem I'd face would be the recycled air or the constant humming of the gravity generators. I was wrong. The real problem turned out to be my roommate. Her name was Lyra, and she was an alien. Now, aliens weren't exactly rare anymore. Ever since the Coalition of Worlds formed 30 years ago, humans had been living and working alongside dozens of species. Still, actually sharing a cramped station apartment with one was another story. Especially when you didn't know their biology. And especially when that biology suddenly became very important. The arrival. I first met Lyra on a rainy afternoon inside the docking ring of EOS 7. She was tall, at least a head taller than me, with smooth silver skin that shimmered slightly under the station lights. Instead of hair, thin strands of glowing filaments flowed from her head like fiber-optic cables. Her eyes were large and luminous, shifting between shades of blue and violet. She looked elegant,
calm,
mysterious, also very intimidating. The station administrator pushed a data pad into my hands.
Shared housing, he said.
Station's full. Human, Aurelian compatibility rating is acceptable. I stared at the name. Aurelian? Lyra tilted her head slightly. That would be my species, she said in flawless English. Her voice was soft, almost musical. I forced a smile.
Great.
I'm Jake. She studied me carefully, like I was a strange new animal. Hello, Jake. That was how it started. Life with an alien. Living with Lyra turned out to be surprisingly normal. Well, mostly. Our apartment module was small, 2 bedrooms, a shared living space, and a kitchenette the size of a closet. The station rotated slowly outside our windows, stars sliding past like silent rivers of light. Lyra worked in xenobiology research. I was a systems technician. We had opposite schedules, which helped. I worked station maintenance during the day cycle, while Lyra spent long hours in the research wing analyzing samples from newly discovered worlds. When we were both home, we mostly kept to ourselves. She drank something that looked like glowing tea. I lived on protein noodles and synth coffee. Sometimes we talked. Lyra was curious about humans. Why do you decorate your living spaces? She once asked while staring at a small photo of Earth I'd stuck on the wall. Because empty walls are depressing, I said. Depressing? Sad. She considered this. Aurelians do not alter our habitats unless necessary for survival. Sounds boring. She smiled faintly. I am beginning to suspect humans enjoy unnecessary things. The first warning. 3 months passed peacefully. Then one evening Lyra came home earlier than usual. Something was different. Her glowing head filaments flickered softly, casting pale blue light across the room. Her movements were slower, more deliberate. She sat at the kitchen table without speaking. Long day? I asked. Yes. Her voice sounded strained. You okay? She hesitated. Then she said something that would completely change the next 2 weeks of my life. My mating cycle begins tomorrow. I blinked. Your what? Mating cycle. I stared at her.
Oh.
There was a long silence. Finally, I cleared my throat. Should I, be concerned? Lyra tilted her head. That depends. On what? Your definition of concern. That was not reassuring. Aurelian biology. The next morning Lyra sat me down and explained. Apparently, Aurelians experienced a biological phase every few years where their bodies became highly reactive to certain hormonal signals. During this time, their senses sharpened, emotions intensified, and their bodies emitted subtle chemical signals intended to attract compatible partners. In simple terms, mating season. And because Aurelians evolved on a densely populated world, the process wasn't subtle. At home, Lyra explained calmly, We usually spend this time within communal bonding groups. Communal bonding groups? Yes. I did not ask for further clarification. So, what happens here? I asked nervously. She folded her hands. I will remain in our apartment until the cycle ends. How long does it last? Approximately 12 days. 12 days. 12 days trapped in an apartment with an alien going through something equivalent to interstellar romance overload. Is it dangerous? I asked. Lyra thought about that. For you? Yes. Unlikely. Not exactly comforting. Day 1. At first, nothing seemed different. Lyra mostly stayed in her room reading or meditating. But by evening, I started noticing things. The apartment smelled different. Not bad. Just warm and strangely pleasant, like rain and electric air. When Lyra walked past me in the hallway, her glowing filaments brushed my shoulder. My heart jumped for no reason. Sorry, she said quietly. No problem. But something about the moment lingered. Day 3. By the third day, things were getting weird. Lyra's normally calm personality had changed. She laughed more, talked more. She kept finding excuses to sit closer to me. One night we were watching a documentary about Europa's oceans when she suddenly asked, Jake, may I ask a personal question?
Sure.
Why do humans blush? I frowned. What do you mean? Your skin changes color when you are embarrassed or emotionally stimulated.
Oh.
That. Yes. Well, it's just blood flow. Evolution thing. Lyra leaned closer, studying my face carefully. Interesting. Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly. You are blushing now. I nearly choked on my drink. Day 5. By day 5, I realized something alarming. The chemical signals Lyra mentioned, they worked on humans. At least on me. It wasn't overwhelming or uncontrollable, but being around her suddenly felt intense. Every small interaction seemed amplified. When she smiled, my brain short-circuited. When she stood close to me in the kitchen, my pulse spiked. And she definitely noticed. Your heart rate increases when I approach, she observed one evening. That's probably just stress. Why would my presence cause stress? I gave up. She watched me with quiet fascination. You are biologically responding, she said thoughtfully. That's not helping. Day 7. The 7th day was when things truly got complicated. I came home from work late. The apartment lights were dim, and soft blue illumination filled the room. Lyra sat on the couch, glowing more brightly than usual. Her filaments shimmered like starlight. You returned late, she said. Maintenance emergency. I dropped my tools and collapsed into a chair. You look exhausted, she added. Yeah. A moment passed. Then she stood and walked toward me.
Slowly.
Jake, she said softly. Yes. During the mating cycle, Aurelians seek emotional resonance with potential partners. Okay, she stopped in front of me. And you are the only compatible being within immediate proximity. My brain froze. Wait. I do not mean reproduction, she added quickly.
Good.
I mean connection. I exhaled.
Oh.
She extended a glowing hand. May I sit with you? I hesitated, then nodded. Sure. She sat beside me.
Close.
Very close. The room suddenly felt very small. Day 9 by day 9, the situation had turned into something neither of us expected. We talked for hours every night. About Earth. About her homeworld. About the strange similarities between our species. Lyra told me Aurelians didn't view bonding the same way humans did. For us, emotional synchronization is more important than physical contact, she explained. Sounds complicated. It is actually very simple.
How?
You either resonate with someone or you do not. And we resonate? She looked at me quietly. Yes. That word stayed in my mind long after the conversation ended. Day 11, the final days of the cycle, were the most intense. Lyra's emotions were stronger. Her glowing filaments pulsed softly, like living constellations. One night we stood together by the observation window, watching a nebula swirl across the stars. Jake, she said softly. Yes. When this cycle ends, things will return to normal. Good. She was quiet for a long moment. Does that disappoint you? I hesitated. Maybe a little. She looked at me, and for the first time since I'd known her, Lyra looked uncertain. Humans form attachments quickly, she said.
Yeah.
And you? I think I already did. Her glowing eyes widened slightly. The last day, the 12th day, arrived quietly. Lyra seemed calmer. The strange energy in the apartment had faded. She stood in the kitchen drinking her glowing tea. It is over, she said. That's good, right? Yes. I nodded. Good. But something about the room felt empty. Lyra watched me carefully. You're disappointed. A little. Why? Because the last 12 days were interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I rubbed the back of my neck awkwardly. I like talking with you. She was silent. Then she stepped closer. Jake. Yeah. The emotional resonance between us was genuine. I know. And it does not disappear simply because the biological cycle ended. My heart skipped. So, what does that mean? Lyra's glowing filaments shimmered softly. It means we may continue exploring that connection. I blinked. You mean like dating? She considered the word. Yes. I stared at her. You're serious? Yes. A slow grin spread across my face. Well, I said, that definitely complicates the roommate situation. Lyra smiled. For Aurelians, complicated is often the beginning of something meaningful. Outside the window, the stars drifted quietly past the station. And suddenly, being stuck with my alien roommate didn't seem like a problem anymore. It felt like the start of something extraordinary.